Hey everyone, this is a video tutorial on how to use LibGDX's TexturePacker. So TexturePacker is just a command line tool you can use to pack many images into a single image or a single texture, or at least into many fewer images or textures. The reason this is important is because your graphics cards have an easier time dealing with fewer textures than they do with multiple or many textures. So if your game has many different images that it uses for its graphics, you might want to run this tool and consolidate them into a handful of textures. So here's the wiki for the TexturePacker tool. To get to this page, you can just Google LibGDX TexturePacker. And in here, there's some more details about why it's better to have fewer textures than many. And it has some different options on different ways you can run the TexturePacker tool. Now I'm going to show you the way that I run it and the way that I think is the easiest, and that is through the nightly build here. So let me click on this link, nightly build, and in here you're going to go to dist and you're going to download this gdx.jar file and save that somewhere on your computer. Once that's done, you can go to this extensions folder, gdx-tools folder, and you need to download this gdx-tools.jar as well. So once you have those, I've already put them in this folder for this tutorial. So here they are, gdx.jar and gdx-tools.jar, and I've made a couple folders in here as well. One is bunch of images, which has many different images as separate files, and I have this packed images folder, which is currently empty. So we want to run the TexturePacker class that is contained somewhere in these jar files. So to do that, we're going to open a command line in this folder by typing cmd in the address bar, and you can see we're already at the location that contains these files. And according to the wiki here, I'm on Windows, so I need to type all this stuff. Now what is this? This is basically, I'm going to run a Java program, and I'm specifying a class path here. Class path is just, it allows us to specify some classes, some Java classes that exist, or specify paths to Java classes so that the compiler knows about them and we can reference them. So for example, in this case we're specifying a class path of this jar file, and we're also specifying a class path to this gdx-tools jar file. So let me just type that in here, Java CP, and my GDX jar file is within the same folder, so I don't need to type any path. It's a relative path. And my gdx-tools.jar file is also in the same folder, so I can just type gdx-tools.jar. You might want to save these jar files somewhere else on your system, and then you can type the fully qualified path to them. But for this tutorial video, they're both in the same folder that I showed you before. So after you type the paths to those jar files, you need to type the fully qualified name of the class that we're going to run, which is TexturePacker here. So I'll type com.badlogic gdx-tools TexturePacker. Okay, and then there are a couple of parameters I need to specify. Actually, I only need to specify one parameter. That's the input directory, and the input directory is bunch of images. Let me just make this wider for you. Bunch of images, and this brackets means it's optional, but I will specify the output directory as well as packed images. Okay, so again, we're just running this TexturePacker class. If you find this TexturePacker class in the source code, it'll have a main method, and that method is going to get executed to run this Java class. and it's going to take these parameters on the command line. And I'll hit enter to run this. And you can see it wrote this file, pack.png, within packed images. Okay, so let me go to the packed images folder, and here you can see there is packed images, all the images packed into a single image, and we have this pack.atlas file. I'll open that, and you can see that it has information about each image that got packed. Just a text file. It specifies the XY offsets of each image, of each region within the packed image, and some other details as well. So how do you reference an individual texture region? Well, LibGDX has methods that make this very easy. You basically just tell LibGDX, here's my pack.atlas, and here is the packed atlas, or the packed image. And using those two things, it can grab regions from this texture very easily. So I'm not going to go into that, but that's the idea, and you can see that this worked. So the other thing I wanted to touch on was you probably don't want to run this, you probably don't want to open up a command line and type this big long thing every time you want to run TexturePacker. So to get around that, you need to make on Windows you need to make a batch file, and on Mac you're going to make a bash file. They're basically the same thing, they're just system executable files. So if I open this batch file, I've already made one. If I open it up, open in a text editor, you'll see that it just contains the exact same image that I typed on the command line. So you can save that in this file, and then anytime you want to run that command, you can just double click on the batch file and it will run it automatically. So for example, let me delete the packed image here, and I'll double click on my batch file, and you can see it popped up really quick. And then if I go back to my packed images, you'll see the packed images are there and the atlas is also there. So hope that helps. That's the easiest way that I've found to run TexturePacker. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know, and if you had any issues with this video, also please let me know. Your feedback is appreciated. So thanks for watching.